Okay, guys, what we're going to do today is we're going to solve a problem. Well, I've actually already done it before, and I'm just going to do this video so that you know how to do it too, and approximately how you go about getting this thing apart and getting it back together. The original problem was when you put a piece of wood in here and it's cold outside, especially when it's cold outside. Sometimes it would happen when it was even warm out. The wood wouldn't feed through the machine. So, as you probably well know, if you're having this problem, it's very annoying to have to push wood through this stupid thing when it's supposed to do that by itself. And even worse, you can't even just push it. You have to pull it out the other side because it just won't feed. So I came up with a solution to the problem, and I'm going to show it to you right now. This is a DeWalt DW735 machine. I've had it for about 4 or 5 years, and after a little while, I came out here. You know, after I got it, I came out here and I tried to plane a piece of wood, and it was freezing out here, and I couldn't get that thing to feed through there. No way, no how. And I decided I was going to go on the internet and look at different videos to see if there was anyone that had a solution to the problem. And I ended up finding out that there was no solution to the problem other than cleaning the rollers and waxing the platen up underneath here. And you know, it would work for a little while, but even when it was cold, even waxing it and cleaning the rollers didn't do anything. So here's my fix, and I'll take this thing all apart and show you what I did. It's not a real big job. It's easy to do, and the worst part of it is it's going to cost you 4 dimes. So I'm going to get this thing apart, and we're going to show you how this goes on. I think I have to take off these covers here. So, not sure where I'm going to put you, but yeah, I don't have a place to put you, so I've got to figure something out here. Hang on. Okay, I think I got a spot here where you can probably see at least some of the stuff that I'm doing. I got a small shop, and it's kind of a pain in the neck doing anything around here because it's just so small, and I just don't have room, and I have junk everywhere. Like on this table that I'm trying to put this camera on, there's not enough room to set the camera down. So anyway, there we go. We got something. So all these covers have to come off. So let's get these off. Because there's a chain in here that runs these roller systems, and you have to disconnect that stuff to make this thing work, to get it apart. So it's not a real big deal. I would highly recommend that you put all the pieces that you take off of things together, so that when you have to put this back together, you'll know where they go. Now, I don't think I have to take everything apart just to show you how this works. This fix that I did works. I have to take this gear off of here, so I got to go get some snap ring pliers to do that, because I forgot about that. I didn't have my tools ready. All right, we're back. Take these snap rings off of here. You gotta be careful these things don't pop off and go flying across the room, because you will not be able to find them. You also need to keep, you have to pay attention to where and how these rollers are on this machine. The other thing is you got to get rid of this, take this spring off of here. It'll stay right there on that that bolt, the Allen bolt. So you take the two snap rings off, and I believe, or at least I thought I believed, that these things would come right off. And I think they do. Yep, they do. I'm only going to take one of these things off of here. There it goes. So these things here, there's a raised portion on this one, and there's a little washer behind that one. There's no washer on this one. It goes on this one here up against that bushing. So make sure you don't lose that, and make sure you keep track of where those, how those go back on there. Okay, so of course I gotta get a screwdriver. No, I have a screwdriver, never mind. There's two screws in this little hand guard. I call it an idiot guard because, you know, only an idiot would stick their hand underneath the planer when it's running and probably come out with no fingers, or at least some bloody stumps or something like that. So that's the purpose of this metal piece, so that you can't stick your fingers into the cutter head. So don't do that. You know, you will lose your fingers, or at least parts of them, and it's gonna hurt a lot. So don't do that. Take my word for it. It's not something you want to try. So I just got a little screwdriver bit here that goes in my impact gun. That makes it easy to get these screws out, because a regular screwdriver or stubby won't fit in here because the guard's in the way. And if you try to use a regular screwdriver bit, it's not going to work because it's too long. So of course I just dropped that screw. I don't know where the hell it went. It's probably down in here somewhere. Well, I need to get a magnet and find it, but I also need to take this cover off, so I need an Allen wrench for that. So we'll get that stuff. Could be metric, could be American, I don't know. I think it's maybe that one. All right, let's see if we got one that fits. Well, yeah, it sort of fits. Yeah, where did that little screw go? It fell down over there somewhere. I don't see it. It's got to be in there. This is the gearbox that actually turns all of that feeder mechanism. It's got some big long bolts. They're all the same. You don't have to worry about mixing them up. This is a fairly easy fix. You should be able to do it in an hour or so. And then once you get that off, I believe this piece will slide right off, like such. There is a thing inside the top that we're going to have to go in and check after this to make sure that it didn't fall apart and end up being out of place. because otherwise the speed mechanism won't work. So here I'm showing you these two screws here are what holds the roller in the machine. So we got to take both of those out. So we're going to do that now. And then later I'm going to do it on the other side. And I find a ratchet with a screwdriver bit in it and a 1/4-inch socket. Works good for this. You can really get that thing down in that screw head and hopefully get them out. This one seems to be camming out on me for whatever reason. Of course. So I'm going to stop the video here for a minute and I'm going to get something to get that out of there, and I'll be right back. Okay. I got the screw loose. Let me show you how I did that, just in case you ever run into this problem. What you do is you get one of these and you make sure that it's good and sharp on the end like that, and you get a hammer like this old beater that I got here, and you put the chisel right up against the side of the screw like that. You whack it a couple of times and make a little notch in the side of the screw, and then you turn it a little bit so that you're forcing the screw to spin back out of the hole. So that's how I got that loose. And you could do it too. Just need a hammer and a sharp chisel, and then it should come right out. I don't know why they put screws in here anyway. Everything else on this machine is just about everything is an Allen screw. I don't know why they didn't put Allen screws in this. Probably because they're, I don't know. They probably put this together without this piece on. So, you know, as an assembly, you know, it's easy to go in here with a, you know, some kind of an electric or air powered tool and, you know, run that screw in there, and then, you know, they're done. They don't have to worry about taking it out again. But you do if you have to do this. And I'm saying that you probably need to do this. So the other trick is to take a piece of wood and stick it out on top of this roller, and then go to your height adjustment and screw this thing down enough so it holds that roller down in there. And then this thing will come right off nice and easy. You won't have any of that spring pressure on it, and I'll show you the spring in a few minutes. There's all the little dinky tiny screws in there. They're not huge. So now that this side is out, I'm going to go around to the other side. I'm going to collect up all my tools here. I'm going to go around to the other side. Oh, there's a magnet on this thing. Let's see if I can find that screw. Oh, look what I found. It's down in there. Okay, so that's the screw for that. And now I got to go to the other side. So I got to spin this thing around. Okay, and we're going to go around this way. Yeah, wheels don't supposed to turn that way, but whatever, it did. I don't remember. I took this off. I don't remember. I guess there's a screw in the middle. And let's take this off. You got to take this off to get that cover off. And it's just a Allen bolt in the front. Let me get you back in the frame. So it's just an Allen bolt in the front that you have to take out. And then you could, magically, you can pull this handle right off. Get that out of the way. And then there's 4 Allen bolts over here. There's one. Ah, I really tighten the crap out of those things when I put them back in. I don't know about you, but if you have any experience with Allen bolts, a lot of the time they're fine thread, and you don't realize that when you tighten them things up, they're really tight. And then when you go to take them out, sometimes you can't get them out. You have to drill the heads off to get them out. And Allen bolts are pretty hard. So just a word of caution, you probably don't want to do that. You know, tighten them things so hard that you can't get them back out. Because, you know, it's just a pain. Anyway, we're going to dig around and see if we can find that. There it is, over here. Here's my little screwdriver bit. Take this off. Just going to get the two of them loose, and then I'm going to take them out by hand. I just need to get them loose. So again, it's easiest to do this with just a screwdriver bit. They don't, once you get them loose, they come right out. They're not tight or anything. So just take them out. That one's still stuck. They got lock washers on them. What do you think they do? Yeah, they do. So sometimes the screw is loose, but the lock washer's still holding it, so you have to monkey around with it a little bit, but it's not too bad. So that's off. And now hopefully we'll be able to see if I can get in there a little closer so you can maybe see a little better, maybe, I don't know. So we're actually taking this side off. So let me move that back a little bit. Now when you take these loose, if you really push down hard, be careful as you just cam that screw out like that one's feeling like it's gonna. There, that one went. So now, since that one's being a little stubborn and I don't want to cam it out, I'm going to show you the trick to get these things loose. So basically all you do is you put the chisel on there like that and you whack it hard. That puts a little ding in the side of the screw. And you might have to do it a couple times. And then once you got that ding in there, you get this chisel right into that ding and you just whack it like that. And let's see if we got it. I think it turned. So if it turned, more than likely, it's going to come out. Yep, so I said, it's going to come out. Now remember, this thing is spring loaded. So as you take the screw out, it's going to want to pop up because it's got spring pressure on it. So the other thing is too is I got to take this Allen screw out of here. Nope, didn't want to turn that, but now maybe I don't want to take that out of there because it's not going to come out of there easily. I'm going to have to get something to hold it. Let's see. Let's see if we can jam something in there and keep that thing from spinning. How about this guy? Piece of wood? Nah. Let me see. Yeah, I got. I can't hold it, but there we go. Why won't that fit in there? It fits in over there. There we go. That'll work. There you go. I get that out of there. Now I got the wrench stuck in there. Come on. There we go. Got it. Oh, I don't have to take both sides of this off, but I do need to take this side off. So I got that off, and I'm just gonna pull this off of here and let it sit right there. I'm not gonna do anything else with that. And then the other way to take that roller out of there is just to get something like that. And then maybe, no, that's gonna be too thick. That's gonna be too thick. Well, you know, you can just hold it down. It's not that much tension on there. And you just unscrew that screw. It's a little more tension after you do what I'm gonna do to it. So I've already done that to this. So you take that bracket off. And you put that aside with the other one. And then, magically, my little block that I had on the other side fell out. So all this does is it sits in here. As you can see, it just sits in there. It's got little blocks, and you can lift the thing right out of there, see? Just like that. So you just pick it up, you put it over here, and now you can see if I get around here, it's better. You can see that there's a spring inside of that hole. So when you take the spring out, that's the spring. And there's another one on the other side. And you can see right down in there, I put a dime down there. So all that is a dime. So what that does is it holds the spring a little bit higher in the hole. And by doing that, you end up with more tension on this block that this roller sits in. So that shaft just spins inside of that block. So by having that spring just a little bit more tension by putting that dime under there, it seems to fix the problem. And I'm not making any guarantees, but I don't have any trouble with this machine anymore. It feeds whether it's cold in here or not. It doesn't make any difference. So now that I've shown you what goes in there, they fit right in there perfect. I mean, you can't ask for a better fit, I don't think. So you put one here, and you put one under this spring on this side over here, and then you just put the roller back. And on this block, you can see there's a line. I took this apart the last time when I had this apart. I didn't really pay attention. I didn't even see that line. So I'm assuming that because there's marks on the other side where the spring was up against that block, that's the way it goes. It goes with those marks facing upwards. So if you look at the thing, it's a little bit, let me take it off. It's a little bit different. So the question is which way does it go? So I think if you put it in the other way, you're going to get more spring tension because the hole is not in the middle. So I don't know exactly which way it's supposed to be in there. I put them in with the line facing up on both sides. That one's the same way. So I don't know. It might be better if you turn it over, because obviously you can see that the bottom next to my thumb there is a little thicker compared to the thickness between where my finger and the shaft is. So there's a difference in the height of that. So if you put it in upside down, what I'm thinking is upside down, I'm thinking you put it in this way. And that way, the center of the roller is actually lower. But I think if you put it in upside down, what happens is you're gonna really compress the hell out of that spring, and it may be too much. Or the other thought that I'm having now that I'm actually looking at this again is maybe, just maybe, when they put this together at the factory, they did put these blocks in upside down, because I put that dime in there, and the dime is probably about the right thickness to make up the difference between the center of that shaft and it would increase the spring tension if you put them in this way, the way that one's sitting right now. If you put it in the other way, you're not going to be compressing that spring as much, as you can see. So I don't know which way it goes, but maybe I'll flip it over now, and maybe this thing will be way better, or maybe it'll be way worse. I don't know, but I'm going to give it a shot. I'm going to put them in backwards, the opposite of what I did before, and see what happens. So let me put this back on here. I'm going to put the line on the bottom. I'm going to take this out, and I'm going to flip this one over also. But, you know, you probably can't see it on the camera, but there is a mark on the bottom of these things where it looks like there was a spring there. The top, it doesn't have any marks on it. So maybe, I think that's the reason why I put these in the way I did. But I'm going to flip them over anyway, because, you know, why not? Maybe it'll be better, and maybe it won't. Maybe as I'm putting this back together, we're going to find out that is not going to work. It seems like it will. I mean, there's a good space underneath of there. Let me show you the space. You can see underneath of that, there's a pretty good gap there. Let me get a light so you can see, and so I can see too. So you can see that there's a gap underneath that spring, pretty good gap, and that gap is not going. When I put that bracket back on there, that's not going to bottom that spring out. But I'm going to put that bracket back on there, and we're going to see what happens. So here we go. We're going to do that. And if I get all this crap out of the way, I'll be able to work here. So these little blocks, they fit flush with the edge of that, so you got to keep in mind that that's the way they need to be put back in there. And you slide over the shaft, and then you get the screwdriver bit again, because that'll make it easier, and you can get these things started in the hole. So that's one, and you notice that it's really, it really doesn't want to sit down in there very well. I would replace that screw that I just hammered on, but you know, I have some Allen screws, but they're too long. I'd have to grind them down, and I don't feel like doing that right now. So, because there's no heat in this garage, and it's maybe 40, maybe, might be colder. I don't know. So you just bring these down in here, and you may have to tap on this thing a little bit to get it down in place. I didn't have to do that the last time, but this is definitely got a lot of pressure on it. So so here's my observation about this. When I put that in there, stupid screwdriver bit under the thing. When I put that thing in there, I can't push that down at all. And here's the other thing. You can see right here that shaft is actually rubbing on that metal. So I think that block is supposed to have that line facing upwards. I'm going to take this back out and change it and see if that makes that look different. Because that right now, that is rubbing hard on that metal. And I don't think that's right. So let me get this camera back over here again. We're going to take them 2 screws out, remove that roller, and man, it's cold in there. Okay, take this out. Be nice to add a hole right through the top here, or you could stick a long screwdriver and take these screws out of here. That would be nice. I didn't do that though. That I don't care about. I don't care about people that have to work on these damn things. Well, the good thing about this is if I switch them back the way they were, since they were working that way anyway, I won't have to take the other shaft out and turn that one either. So it'll all be good. Push that roller down a little bit. Screw out of there. And screw out of there. Just gonna put that down there for now. Lift this roller out. And I'm gonna flip that one around so that the line is facing up. Do the same with this one. And then it's gonna go right back in the spot where it was. These sometimes are a little tricky getting these things to sit down in there. Okay, so now we have the line on the top. I think you can see that. I can see it. You should be able to see it. So I'm going to put this bracket back on here. And we're going to see if it rubs. Because it was rubbing on here before. And it was kind of not easy to get that thing down in there. But it wasn't that bad. But okay. Well, that's in there. Give it a screw. Yeah, I really hammered that thing to get it out. That's all right. Don't matter. Okay. Push down on that. Get that screw in there a little further. All right, now let me tighten that up. Let me give it a little whack with something. Make sure it's in the right place. I think that's supposed to be in like that all the way. I don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't. I don't know. Hands are getting cold. I can tell you that. Okay, so that's tight. I wouldn't want these to fall out. That would not be good. Okay, that's tight enough. Now, warm up my hands. If I turn my heater on, that might make more sense instead of freezing. So now, I don't know if you're going to be able to see this or not, but you can see, I can see that there's a space between the shaft and that bracket. So I'm going to say that that is the proper way for that to be on there. You can see there's a little bit of space there. Before it was rubbing right on the shaft. And it looks like that bracket could go to the left a little bit because the gap on this side is much smaller than it is on this side. So let me get my hammer and give it a whack and see if it moves any. I'm not advocating you whack your equipment with hammers, but you know, just a little love tapping can hurt it. That didn't move at all. So that's where it is. That's where it's going to stay. I'm going to line up this gear with this thing. You may have to turn the roller a little bit to get this back on here. And you may have to monkey around with it a little bit. Just don't forget, I got that. There it goes. That's in there. Now I gotta find the screw. There's the screw that holds that in. Probably gonna have to stick the Allen wrench in there to keep that thing from turning. Okay. That's probably tight enough. I don't want to get too tight. And you don't want to get your Allen wrench stuck in there either, but you know, whatever. So now, I believe the only thing I have to do on this side is put this cover back on. This belt, check your belts while you're in here because they do wear out eventually. That one's fine for now. So now, oh, I got to put the stupid guard back on. Let's put that stupid guard back on there. And this is the piece that uses the screws with the lock washer. Don't ask me why they have a lock washer on here. Safety. For safety. So I found the last time that I did this, I found that putting the screw inside the hole and holding the thing with the screwdriver bit is a whole lot easier than trying to start that screw by hand. Because if you do that, you're just going to be kicking yourself. And if you can kick yourself like that, I'm going to say you're multi-talented. Now I have to find the other screw. Now here's one, but that's not the right one. Oh, here it is. I found it. Not sure why they don't have lock washers on the screws that hold that roller in. I don't understand that. But what do I know? I didn't make this damn thing. Some engineer figured this out. I'm not saying engineers are idiots, but some of them are. I worked with a guy one time that we were building a press to make you know, like wall sockets, you know, for plugging cords in. It was for Leventon Corporation. They were big, huge presses, and they were converting them. They used to run on, I don't know if it was water or steam, but they used to run on that and run on something else. And we converted them over to be hydraulic. So the engineer that was in charge of doing all the drawings drew the whole thing up on his CAD software in the office, and he brought the plans out for us boys in the shop to make the parts. And I looked at the plans and I said, this thing, if it ever jams up, is going to turn into a giant-sized pretzel. Oh, no, it won't do that. And don't worry, I designed it so that it's plenty strong enough. I said, okay. I said, well, when it breaks, it gets out of sequence or whatever, and something happens, don't say I didn't tell you so. So we spent, I'm going to say, 2 weeks building all this crazy mechanism for this thing. And the guys over there in the shop that were doing the actual work on it were taking the pieces and putting it all together, and everything fit perfect. Everything. Electrician went over and they got all the wiring and the relays and all that stuff done. And they had a ton of stuff in it. It was a very complicated machine. And you got it done. And this got a little flat on it right here. Has to match up with the shaft. I mean, it won't go on if you don't line it up, so. Anyways, they got the thing all done, and it was time to fire it up. So they turned it on. They did a bunch of checks to make sure that everything was working the way it was supposed to work, electrically and all that stuff. And they decided it was time to do the real test, and turn it on and run it through a cycle. Well, that's what they did. Unfortunately, it wasn't good for them, because the first time it tried to get it to go through a cycle, it jammed up, and all that mechanism that was in between the press platens, and it just folded itself up to a bunch of scrap metal. And we had to start all over again. So, yeah, engineers are smart most of the time, but not always. And the guy that did all the drawings and designed the whole thing and everything like that, he came out of the office to see what all the commotion was about. And he looked at it, and he looked at me, and I said, nothing. But he knew what I was going to say, or I would have said. But I told you so was in my mind. I didn't say it. And he a couple of days later got brought into the office over the massive amount of labor that went into, and materials that went into building this thing the way he had designed it. And that same day, they escorted him out of the building, and he was done. So, engineers are smart, but not all of them. Now, I'm hoping they don't have to take that top cover off to get this thing to go back in place, but there's a very good chance that I will. But I don't know, it went back in there, so maybe we're good. We'll see. Oh. Yeah, that seems like it's engaged. I just flipped the lever in the front. You know, you're not supposed to do that unless the machine's running, so. But I don't have my guard in place, so I'm not going to turn it on. It's not even plugged in, actually. There's no reason to have it plugged in when you're doing this, which I should have mentioned. Don't leave the machine plugged in when you're doing this, because you could get hurt. You know, it's kind of a no-brainer. Everybody ought to know better than do that. I mean, you know, so you read these manuals and, you know, you get a new piece of equipment, like especially something like this, or God forbid, something like a table saw or something like that. People get hurt on them things all the time. And, you know, you get a table saw or something like, you know, you get a piece of equipment like that, and there's page after page after page of lawyer lingo warning you to not do this and to not do that. And, you know, it's just crazy. So when you put these back on, you've had this thing apart, and you know, you could get one of these on, like that one, and then you just go over here, and lo and behold, the keyway is never going to line up. So you just have to turn the shaft, because this shaft on the other end is not connected to anything except for the chain over on the other side, and it just turns the other shaft is all it does. And don't forget this little spring right here. Once you get that on there, has to be, yeah, if my fingers weren't frozen I could do this. Has to be hooked on that little thing right there. Let me show you how it goes. That's how it's supposed to look. It just goes from that bolt over to the end of this, and that's your tensioner for the spring, or the chain spring, yeah. And now, the next thing that I got to do is I got to find those two snap rings, which I think I put in here. Put those back on, like such. And I usually keep my finger over the top of the snap ring, just because I know that them things go flying across the room. I ain't never gonna find it again. I got some smaller ones on my CNC machine over there. They're probably a quarter the size of this. And I lost one of them. The thing went flying. I don't know where it is. To this day, it's gone. The other thing is too, is you got to make sure that these snap rings seat down in the groove. Because if they don't seat down in the groove, they could come off. I usually just poke at them a little bit. And then I'll get the pliers, stick them back in the hole, and just kind of like spin them around to make sure that they're actually in there, because you don't want these coming off. You know, I mean, it's not going to hurt anything. It's just it's gonna come off. Maybe the chain will come off the roller, and you'll end up not having any feed at all. So that's it. They all turn together. Not a real big thing. And now we're going to put in the, you know, a finger guard. Keeps the idiots. There's no idiots in this shop, but, well, people might disagree with me about that, but there's no idiots in this shop that are stupid enough to stick their hand in a running planer. It's like, you know, I had an uncle once. He was not the sharpest knife in the drawer, let's put it that way. He actually got something stuck in his lawnmower, and it was banging around underneath there. And he picked up the lawnmower in the front and stuck his hand under there to get whatever was under there. And so it was stuck in there. It was like halfway sticking out the chute or something. I don't know. He stuck his hand in there with the mower running and cut 3 fingers off. Another guy, you know, it says on a lawnmower, another lawnmower story. When you're mowing the lawn, do not back up with the mower. Well, why is that? Well, if you trip on something, what's going to happen? Immediately, you're not going to say, well, I'm going to let go of that handle because I don't want to fall. I'm going to fall on the ground, and I don't want to drag that lawnmower over my feet. Well, you don't do that. You don't do that. That's not something that you're thinking. You're thinking, I'm going to hold on to that handle for dear life because I don't want to hurt myself when I hit the ground. And that mower is going to keep me from hitting the ground. It's not. What it's going to end up doing is you're going to be falling over backwards because you're backing up with a lawnmower. You're not supposed to do that. You read the manual again, and it'll tell you, do not do that. So, that wasn't very smart. Throw all them screws on the floor. Anyway, do not do that. So, and I lost one. Great. And I'll find it later. Yeah, so everything's in there. So don't back up with the lawnmower. You know, because if you fall, you're going to pull the lawnmower right over your feet, and you're going to damage your feet. Even if you got shoes on, maybe if you got steel-toed shoes, you might be okay. But, you know, I'm not sure why anybody would want to take a chance like that. But that happened to my boss. The guy I used to work with, he was a real know-it-all. He just knew everything, and, you know, there was no change in his mind. We used to call him Gully because he was gullible. You could tell him anything and he'd believe you. So anyway, he was mowing his lawn, and he did exactly what I just said. He was backing up with the lawnmower, and he tripped over something, and he yanked the thing right over onto his feet. And it's a good thing he had heavy shoes on. He did hurt his feet, but it wasn't all that bad. He didn't lose any toes or anything like that. But, you know, he could have. You know, all those manuals they have that have all them caution things in them. All those things are for good reasons. You know, because some lawyer has defended the company because, you know, some idiot did something stupid like that. And, you know, that's the reason why they have all that junk in there. But, you know, who reads it? Nobody reads that junk. You know, so now, the hardest part of this job is to flip this damn thing back over. Because it's, in my opinion, way heavier than what it needs to be. But there goes. And you just gotta walk it back and forth until you get it onto the table. And you get it back as far as you can. And then you just gotta manhandle the damn thing back in place. And it's easier if you have a rolling cart. Much easier. So, I need to put the front piece back on here. The feed tray. And then we're going to try it out. So, okay, stop running over the cord. Pick the cord up off the floor, stupid. Okay, there we go. Got the cord. Now it'll roll. It's one of the stupid things I do all the time. Is I got 4 things in my hand and I'm trying to do something else at the same time. And you know, that doesn't work. It doesn't work. It's a pain in the butt. So you're dropping stuff all over the place, and you know, like right now, I got to put this back on here, and I got the wrench in one hand, I got the screw in the other hand, and I got this thing on top of everything else, and there it is. And you know, it becomes cumbersome to try to do things like that all the time, and I just don't. I constantly doing stupid, idiotic crap like that. So now this thing here has to be adjusted properly, otherwise you're going to end up with snipe, and you're not going to be happy. So I'm going to show you how I do it. You can do it any way you want. I really don't care. But what I do is I take a level that's nice and flat, obviously, and a clamp, and I just clamp it down on this side. You don't have to get it real tight and firm, so you don't have to worry about it too much. The other thing is you need to have a block of wood underneath the table, because the clamp needs to clamp down on the table, on the feed tray. Without that block, it's not going to work. So now I got that on that side. But now, that's not that tight that I can't move this thing. So, this thing has to be up. So, since I got this side loose, I'm gonna push this down. I'm going to lift this thing up, and then I'm going to tighten this screw a little bit, right? And of course, there's no washers under there, so it's going to want to do its own thing. I'm going to loosen these ones up on this side so that these will move, and then you want that to be just like that. So you push the table up with the screw kind of tight, not so tight that you can't move the feed table in, but not so tight that you can't move it. See, like this one here, I got a gap right here between the actual platen and the feed. There it goes. See? So when I do this, I intentionally put it high up, get it tight enough so that I can still push it down. And if I don't move, I just loosen it a little bit, and I push it down until the level hits the platen flat. So it's flat all the way from that side, all the way over to here. And then I go over here, and I tighten this thing up enough so that I can lift it up as high as it can go, usually, because these things are not, the holes in these things are not real perfect. So I loosen that up, and then I get it like that, and then I do the same thing. I push it down until everybody's level, And sometimes you have to monkey around with it and to get it so that it stays where you want it. I think that's where I want it. Because if this is not correct, what's going to happen is you're going to plane wood, and you're going to have snipe, a lot of it. So this one here is going to go up, and it's going to go down. Oh, it's too far. More. Okay. And of course, when you move this one, it makes this one wrong. So then you got to move this one. You bang it up from the bottom, it's easier. While you hold the level flat on the platen, and then you tighten it. Then you swing it over here, and you're going to find the same problem. So you loosen this one up, bang it up. If these are a little bit high, it's okay. It's no problem. Because what happens is when that stock goes underneath here, and it goes underneath that roller, it's pushing a lot of pressure down on it, and it'll actually try to lift the wood up. And you don't want that. You want that thing to, you want to just have that so it goes straight in, just right. So the way I do it is I'll take the level and I'll look at it. So a lot of times when you have snipe, the way to get rid of it is not the way people generally will tell you to do it, but if you hold the board down on the feed side when you're putting it under the roller, sometimes that'll help you, sometimes it won't. But on the other side, when you're taking it out of the machine, when it's coming out, before it comes off the end of that roller, before it stops cutting, you put a little bit of upward pressure on the board, and it'll keep the snipe down to a minimum. That's what I do. It seems to work. If you don't do that, you'll end up with snipe on the first board or the last board. And, if you leave your boards long and trim them after, it's okay. Like that one is totally screwed up. I should just do that one while I'm here, because that one is not correct. I mean, it's like totally wrong. Totally wrong. Let me show you. Look at that gap. That's a huge gap. This is the outfeed side. This is the one that you want to be higher, because even if this is higher, all it's going to do is it's going to lift the board up on this end of the thing. Is going to force the board to be pushed up, which is going to cause it to, when the board comes off the feed roller in the front, now it's only depending on the roller in the back to hold that board down. And if this is down like this and the board is out here, it's got nothing to hold it up. So the board is it probably wouldn't drop down, but the roller doesn't have the capability to hold that board down in position so that it doesn't end up with snipe. So the solution, my solution to that problem, is to raise this up more than what it should be. And that way you don't have to stand behind the planer with every single board that goes in and out of the planer and catch it as it comes out and hold it up. So And, you know, I don't know how these things get this way, but they do. I mean, this was not like this the last time I knew. I did realize the other day that it was a little on the low side. So. Okay. All right, let's try that. Oh, too low. Now you can tell when you get it in the right place because the level starts bouncing up and down. But if you leave this thing too loose, and the other thing is these side plates move on you all the time. So now I think that's pretty close. Got that. And this is not right. Somebody got a hammer. If you don't move, I'll just listen a little bit. Nope, still not there. The other thing too is I don't know if anybody's ever noticed this, but this platen, it's got some give to it. It is not completely flat all the time until there's pressure on it. So naturally, when you put a piece of wood on there and it goes under them rollers, it's going to push it down flat. But that thing is not flat, not by any means. I mean, you could see it moving when you push on it. Okay, so now do this end. Yeah, I'll loosen both sides. Okay. Fingers are freezing. Why are you doing this stuff today? It won't move. Why don't you move? You got plenty of friggin' spots to move. Probably this one's too tight. There we go. Should move now. Jeez. Okay. When you get it right, you should be able to put a little pressure on that level just to flatten out that platen. And you should be able to look down the other end. It should be flat. Not like this side. All right. So that's good. That's a little bit high, and that's where I'm going to leave it. So, if you are having trouble with your planer, your DeWalt 735, get yourself 4 dimes, take all that stuff apart, put the dimes in underneath those springs. Make sure you put the lines on them blocks facing up with the machine upside down. They should be, when you put that bracket on there, you should be able to see that line there. If you put them in the other way, the shaft will rub on that metal bracket that holds it in there, and you don't want that. So, I don't remember coming to that conclusion. The only thing I remember from the last time I took this apart was, like I said, when I went to put it back together, I said, oh, these have lines on them, and that hole is not in the middle of that block. So they got to go one way or the other. And I did it the way I always do it, is I looked at the back of the block and saw the little spring marks where the spring would be vibrating on that thing. And I just said, well, it's got to go in that way. And that's the way I put it back in there. And the machine has been running perfectly fine ever since I put those dimes in there. I mean, so if you're having trouble with the machine feeding, try it and see if it works. I'm confident that it probably will. It worked on this machine, it worked great. So, and as you can see, this platen is not exactly clean. You know, it's pretty dirty. So you can see that I have not waxed it for a while. And, you know, the wood goes through here just fine. There is one exception to that rule, or to that if you put wet lumber through here, like pressure treated wet lumber, if it's that wet, it'll stick to the platen and it won't feed. So, I mean, you're just gonna have to push it through if that's what your priority is to shove wet lumber through this thing. It'll work, but it's going to be a problem. It's going to make it real tough. The other thing that I did after I did this, and I don't know if I can show you or not. I think you might have noticed. You can see that guy right there. That is a spiral head cutter that I replaced the original one with after this was. So I'm back. Battery went dead. So what I was about to tell you is you can see that cutter head probably doesn't look like the one you have. I put this in after I put the dimes in, and I saw that it was feeding properly and everything, and I decided to spend a little money on it. And so I went to a place called finetools.com, and I found this cutter head, and it's got a whole bunch of carbide bits on it. You know, it's a spiral head for the machine, and it was very simple to put it in. And this thing cuts like you won't even believe, and it's quiet. So if you really want to upgrade your machine and make it feed correctly, you put the dimes in, and then you go get one of these cutter heads. They're not that much money, and you're gonna be so happy you did it. It's just gonna tickle you pink, I think. I don't know, maybe not. We'll see. But well, you'll see. I won't see, unless you leave a comment and tell me. So yeah, that was well worth the money. And with that, I think this job is over, except for winding this thing down and plugging it in and making some chips. So that's what we're going to do. It's going to take me a minute to wind it down. So I'm going to plug it in. Then I'm going to wind it down. I'll hook up the vacuum cleaner, and we'll shove some wood through here, because that's what this thing is really for. All right, we'll be right back in a minute. Okay, guys, here goes a big test. Turn my vacuum on. can see, that'll pull that lumber right through there like nothing. It works just fine. So, I mean, there's some bandsaw marks on here, but after I adjusted that outfeed and infeed table, there's no snipe on here at all. So, you know, do yourself a favor. If you got one of these damn machines, get yourself 4 dimes and stick them in there. I think you'll be happy. That's it for this one. Hope you enjoyed that. Hope you enjoyed all my stories. I like to tell stories, so you know, makes a video a little more interesting, and you're not sitting there watching somebody doing something and that there's no kind of entertainment. So anyway, I'm gonna go and try and get this up on the YouTube today, and we'll catch you later. Bye.